Aditi Kinkhabwala is with us. Aditi, kind of the chord that we struck here is that there's if you look at the 6 best players, or at least the named players on the Browns team, Chubb and Garrett and Watson and Bitonio and Denzel Ward and Amari Cooper, they're all kind of the same personality type. They're not boisterous. They're not huge yellers and screamers. They're all kind of that same guy. And Stefanski, the same thing. Not that he doesn't have his moments, but you never see this fire and brimstone that we talked about this division is notorious for. The Steelers and the Ravens, who have had the most success, have always had those guys, those energetic Ray Lewis, James Harrison type guys. Do you think that this is a construction problem, a roster construction problem, that one of your best players isn't that guy and they sort of do have that void on the field?
I think that you hit the nail on the head, and it's not always fire and brimstone, okay? You don't always have to be screaming. You don't always have to be F-bombing people, but it is that personality, not just the play, but the personality that demands everybody raise their level and everybody play at a better, more focused level. It's exactly the conversation we all had exactly a week ago about TJ Watt. And I told you, TJ's not like a particularly loud, boisterous, outgoing guy. You're in that Steelers locker room Monday through Friday. He's not the one that's cutting it up and playing the music and doing all of that. But on Sunday, on that field, the way that he rallies people, the way that he talks to his teammates, the way that he demands excellence, it's very different than anybody I know on the Browns. It just is. And this is something that we've talked about with Myles Garrett forever. It's not a knock on Myles Garrett. It's who Myles is. Myles can't pretend to be somebody else. You have to be your authentic self. It's just not who he is. So I do think that there is a piece of that you do need someone like that. And look, Joel Bitonio and I had this conversation, and I know I shared it with you before that Christmas Eve game, that Kevin Stefanski, who's one of his most magical traits is that he is level, that he is even, that he doesn't freak the heck out. And this is what we say about all great coaches. When Doug Peterson's Jaguars team was at 2-6, he got that team to where it is in the playoffs and won the division is by being level, by not freaking out, by not panicking. Mike Tomlin, that team was 2-6. He also said, we are going to continue to work. We're not going to rip everything up. Being level is a good thing. But Joel did tell me before that Christmas Eve game that this year, Kevin is showing a little bit more fire, a little bit more personality. I mean, if you guys remember, I think Adam remembers this, a couple of years ago, I remember asking Kevin, like, do you yell at your kids? Do you ever get upset? Because his personality seems so flatline. And Kevin like kind of laughed and said, well, I'll leave that for them to answer. And, you know, people were telling me, oh, I've seen him like shove a chair in his office and, oh, yeah, he's raised his voice. But no one ever publicly saw that. And so Joel said this year there's been a little bit more of that Kevin has revealed a little bit more of that. And I think that that's part of being a coach is knowing, okay, this is what my team needs here. This is what my team needs there. It's why Kevin Stefanski moved his office this year. He created a second office downstairs outside the locker room because the way that building was set up, his office was upstairs kind of in a corner. He wanted to make sure that he saw everybody when they walked in the morning. Now they walk by that ancillary office that he has into the locker room. So it's having a better pulse on the team. But again, Kevin can only do so much. His personality is his personality.
Yeah, to your point earlier.
I remember joking with him about when he goes to a basketball game for his kids, is he one of those parents that yells from the stands? Because full disclosure, at my son's flag football game and at my son's soccer game, I'm the parent that yells from the sidelines. I'm the one that my husband says, shut up, stop talking. But Kevin was like, no, that's just not who he is. So to your point, Jay, I agree. I do think that you need someone back there that is, and by back there, I mean someone in the building, someone in the locker room.
Well, defensive coordinator is the guy, right?
Yeah. And before
go ahead.
Yeah, and Jay was saying defensive coordinator, he's right. And before we get to Brian Flores, first of all, the big news of the day is that Dee is admitting she's an obnoxious parent at sporting events.
No. Hey, this is my professional opinion. Those kids should want my professional opinion. begged me to coach his flag football team.
Good. Then do it. I want to see you run on the. I want to.
If the kid doesn't mind, if the kid doesn't mind, then my husband pipe down.
Tell your husband to shut up. You need to
answer his phone.
Answer his phone. We want to see you run on the field, grab the ref by his collar, get him in line. Aditi,
having respect for everybody in the game. That's certainly something that I really feel strongly about. But if you've got a professional educated opinion on the way that you track the quarterback, why would you not share it?
All right. Well, listen, the Steelers have officially again made me look stupid. I have to eat the losses here along with a lot of pizzas. For the Browns, or for the Steelers, finishing over 500 yet again. I will give you one more chance to do a victory lap on my bad prediction grave.
Please do it. Please do it.
But what is there to do? Like, I just don't, to me, it's sort of like, this is also part of this. Like, okay, all hail mediocrity.
Yeah, right.
Great.
All right.
The Steelers, 19 years in a row, have been 500 or better. Okay, well, you know what? In those 19 years, they have exactly 13 playoff wins. Okay, in those 19 years, they have 2 Super Bowl wins. I guarantee you, Mike Tomlin would rather have had a losing year and an extra ring. It's just, to me, it's
that
so
sounds very greedy, though, Aditi.
Very greedy.
That's very greedy. 2 Super Bowl rings.
We've had 3 playoff wins, 3 playoff games.
Yeah, can we cash in 20 of our losing seasons?
The Browns have had 1 playoff win in like 30 years.
Okay, but you know what? You play the game to win those trophies.
That's true.
Like, that's why you play. And it's funny because Steelers fans got so angry at me. This week I tweeted something. I mean, they're always angry at me, let's be honest. But anyway, I tweeted something about, I said, the Steelers, for the 19th consecutive year, have finished 500 or better. That ties the Patriots for second all-time in NFL history. And then I said, in those 19 years, the Steelers have won 13 playoff games and won 2 Super Bowls. The Patriots, in their 19 years, won 30 playoff games and 6 Super Bowls.
Ouch.
Okay, I didn't make any commentary. I didn't offer any opinion.
Just the
I just
facts.
simply added to the facts. Like, here's the facts, and here's an additional fact that may or may not be interesting to somebody. You may find context in it, you may not. Whatever. There's the fact. And everybody starts screaming about my bias and this and that. But to me, the first is a 19-year run, and I don't care. Like, I don't care about what was the AFC East at that time, whatever. You play who's on your schedule, okay? And part of being dominant is that's how good you are, all right? But anyway, to me, it's like, if in 19 years you won 6 Super Bowls, well, damn, that is really impressive. That is speaking to a high level of excellence. In 19 years, if you were never below 500, great. Okay, but what do you have to show for it? Like, what do you really have to show for it?
It shows that you're among the best every year.
In the last 6 years. It's in the last 6 years. The
But
Steelers
Aditi,
have won 0 playoff games.
Aditi, though, in defense of the Steelers and how they may look at this, the bar that you are comparing them to is unprecedented. In 9 and 16 years, does any other franchise have 6? Or 6 and 19? They've got 6 and 19 years. Has any other franchise even won 6 going back to 52 years?
Why should the standard be any lower? The Steelers are a team that won 4 in a decade.
Understandable, but
you know what? You asked this question. No, not you. I think G. I'm sorry. Was it G? G or Mike asked me the question a week ago about the Browns and their standards, and do Browns fans just have much lower standards?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, was that you,
was
G?
G.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they do.
Okay. Well, let's be honest. You know what? If I was
pathetically
an A
low.
student, listen, I was an A student. I was an A student all through elementary school. So I was an A+ student through elementary school. I'd come home with a 98, and my dad would say, "What happened to the other 2 points?" My brother, who by the way is brilliant and a Wharton grad and made $1 million before he ever should have, all of those things, was not an A student. So he would come home from elementary school with a 91, and my parents would say, "Great job." You have different expectations based on the standards that have been set. The Steelers repeatedly say that they are one of the best franchises in the NFL, which they are. Okay, they are. The way that they run things, the way that they do business, their commitment to their head coaches, their commitment to a lot of things, they hold themselves to a different standard than just about anybody else. You can't hold yourself to that standard and then turn around and be like, oh, yay, we didn't have a losing season. No, your standard is to win those trophies. And Mike Tomlin is the one who will tell you that. Mike Tomlin yesterday didn't want to answer a single question, didn't want to make a single decision, didn't want to make a single statement on his staff, which, by the way, I thought was really interesting. As a random aside, the Browns immediately made a decision on Kevin Stefanski's staff. The Titans immediately made a decision on Mike Vrabel's staff. And Mike Tomlin was asked about his staff, and he said, we were so singularly focused on winning this game, I couldn't even step back and think about any of those other things. My 100% effort was winning Sunday against the Browns. And part of me was like, is that a knock on the Titans who couldn't win their last game? Is that a knock on the Browns who couldn't win their last game?
Yep.
Like, just be focused on what's in front of you.
Yeah, the task at hand.
And then step back and do the assessment.
I'm good with that. There's plenty of time to figure out your coaching staff. You got to win the task at hand. You know, you mentioned Doug Peterson, and I love this. During their game, which was essentially a playoff game against Tennessee, they talked during the broadcast about how after week 8, when they were 2-6, Doug Peterson went into the locker room and addressed the team and said, guys, mark my words. It doesn't look like it from where you sit now. This season is coming down to our last game against Tennessee, which is just remarkable to me that at 2-6, I know you're trying to keep your guys up, but you don't say that to a group of grown men unless you firmly believe it. And it's almost like he willed that into existence, and they took their last game as seriously as anybody, maybe but Detroit. I marveled at what Detroit did in their last game, but I give a lot of kudos to Doug Peterson for that turnaround and walking into that locker room at the halfway point and say, guys, it's going to come down to the last week of the season.
Okay, I was there that week. I was there when they finally stemmed that, bleeding, and they beat the Raiders. And here's what Doug Peterson did on Wednesday. So I was with the Jaguars actually a ton this season. In fact, I messaged, I'm doing Westwood 1 this weekend. Jason McCourty, the brilliant Jason McCourty, who of course was in your city, is on the call for Westwood
great.
1 for the Jags game. And I actually texted him last night and said, hey, I was on the sideline for the Jags 5 or 6 times this season. I feel really strongly about how well I know that team. Mm-hmm. If you want me, let's talk this week. So that week I was there. And on Wednesday, Doug Peterson goes to his team, and he tells the story of Nehemiah from the Bible. And it was Nehemiah who, of course, got everyone to build the wall around Jerusalem. And the way he did is he told every family, this is your part of the wall. Don't worry about this side of the wall. Don't worry about that side of the wall. You build this part of the wall. Every family did their part, and the wall was built around Jerusalem. And it was basically creating an analogy for his players. Stop worrying about anybody else. Do your job, and we will be fine. And he has he walked into a very, very talented young team. He and Trent Baalke upped the talent by going out and getting a receiver like Christian Kirk, a tight end like Evan Ingram. They improved what they had, drafting Tavon Walker. But this was a team that absolutely had PTSD. You walk in that building a year ago and it was like a war zone. And this is why, to me, he's the coach of the year, because not only did he get everybody playing better, but he completely upended a culture. These were players that were constantly afraid. They played tight and nervous. They were walking on eggshells. And now here they are at 2-6. And Josh Allen just told me this, as my son calls him, the other Josh Allen, the pass rushing Josh Allen, said to me a week ago, he said, we were at 2-6 and he didn't attack anybody. He didn't attack any coaches. He didn't attack any players. He just said, let's just keep working. And that is a huge difference from a year ago of what that team had. Marvin Jones told me earlier this year, Doug Peterson taught these guys how to be professional. Here's another great story I never got to tell about Doug Peterson. In the preseason, he actually put together a slideshow of what players should and should not wear on a plane. He said, we are professionals. These are business trips. So before week 1 of the season, he took photos of all the players in their preseason games as they're coming into the stadium on their own planes. And What to wear, what not to wear, what to wear, what not to wear. Marvin Jones, again, one of the great professionals in the league, told me something as simple as that. You needed to teach these guys how to come to work. You needed to teach these guys how serious to take what they're doing, how seriously to take what they're doing. And of course, a team that has never won before needs to learn how to win.
Well,
Doug knew that they had all those pieces. Doug knew that they could play great. But this is the process. I mean, a guy like Trevor Lawrence, look, who he was when I had him week 17 was completely different than who he was when I had him week 5. He's way more vocal on the sideline. He's way more about rallying his teammates because he has so much more confidence in what he's doing. He's talking to Doug Peterson and Press Taylor so much more about what he wants to do because he's got more confidence in the way that he's playing. I didn't mean to hijack this into a Jaguars conversation, but I'm just trying to say that really good coaching and really confident players are tangible things. If you know what you're looking for, you'll see it. And when you look at the Browns this year, it's not that they don't have the pieces, but there is one little something. Sometimes it's just one little something that needs to turn it on. And I think with the Jaguars, that's what you saw. You know, you bring in a Doug Peterson. Not that I'm saying the Browns is about the head coach, but sometimes it's just something. And the same guys can give you a completely different result. The same guys can respond to a situation completely differently.
Sorry to cut you off, but I want to get Jason's question because we got to get to Bernard.
Yeah, we only got about a minute, so you got to be quick on this. But Brian Flores is the guy that I want for the Browns as DC. Is there anything Pittsburgh can do to keep him? Do you think he would take the Cleveland job? And I'm wondering if one of the problems Kevin's going to run into is sort of the hot seat coach next year. Are you going to get the guys that you want on your staff when you sort of enter the season with that label? Just what do you think about Brian as a DC next year? Do you think he'd have any interest in coming here?
I know that the players in Pittsburgh love him, that they respond to him extremely well as a defensive coach. I think he's got a great mind. I believe that he's learned a lot from his experience in Miami about leading and leadership. I think that he would be a great move, and I don't think that Mike Tomlin, even if it's going to another team in the division, in Pittsburgh, you're not calling the defense. Mike Tomlin is calling the defense. I think Terrell Austin would be another tremendous hire. Terrell Austin is the defensive coordinator in name in Pittsburgh, but he's not calling the defense. So I think he would go somewhere where he got to call the defense. I think Brian Flores would go somewhere where he got to call the defense. And I think that Kevin Stefanski is confident enough in who he is. You know, this is like the quarterback who transfers because he doesn't want to compete with somebody else in college. No, just win the job. You know, like Kevin Stefanski should not be sitting here and say, I'm afraid to bring in a strong coach because what if he threatens me? Kevin Stefanski's mindset is, well, I'm going to go win 14 or 15 games next year.
I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Ego's not a problem. This stuff is nonsense.
Help me.
I wholeheartedly agree. I meant the other side. Would a coach want to come here if the head coach is on a hot seat and everyone could get blown out of the building in 6 months anyway?
No, because I think the coach should have enough confidence in himself that, well, I'm going to help that team be better.
Right.
Anybody who looks at this roster, looks at who is under contract with this roster, and sees the way the Haslams are not afraid to spend money. And one more thing that I'll say, Sean Payton was asked about getting back into coaching. And he said the things that would matter to him the most are not the roster and the quarterback, but it is what ownership has shown recently, what is ownership, and what is the brain trust. I don't know how anybody could talk to Andrew Berry and not think that there is stability and a smart mind and a brain there. So I think a strong coach would say, I could be the missing piece. I'm the one that could help turn these things around. I'm the one that could make this defense great. Look at Wink Martindale. You're bringing Bernard Pollard on. Look at what Wink Martindale did. He left Baltimore feeling like, okay, I've done what I can do here. It's time for me to go someplace else. What has Wink done with that Giants defense?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, great job.
A confident, strong coach has faith in himself and believes that he can be a huge part of the puzzle. He's not thinking that he's going to a place where a head coach is getting fired.
Right.
He's thinking that he's going to a place where he's going to help make that franchise better.
Yeah, I can be the difference. Aditi,
Thanks,
great
Aditi.
stuff.
We'll see you
great
later.
stuff. Thank you very
guys.
much.
All right.
We'll talk
to you
soon.